members of that verdict.
Did it just kind of wear you down?
No, not at all.
Did they at one point they said that you claimed that the sheriff was above the law? Did you ever say that?
I never said that.
Okay.
Did you ever cover your ears and your eyes during deliberations?
No, I did. If several people were talking, I have hearing aids, and I tried to look at and cut my ears to see and to focus on exactly who was talking and what they were saying.
So again, do you believe that Sheriff Victor Hill is guilty?
I believe that he is guilty of the counts that we found him guilty. I believe he's innocent of the count that we did not find him guilty.
Anything that you would like to say to the jail detainees who were brought to the witness stand?
I hope they feel that justice was done.
Do you feel
And
like
that I believe that this jury worked as hard at coming up with a fair verdict.
Do you believe justice was served?
I believe that justice was served.
And sir, your name Graham Carter?
My name is Graham Carter.
What part,
You
of town,
evident-
what part of town you live in?
I actually live in Sandy Springs, but I'm a native of Atlanta,
Okay.
the city of Atlanta.
Do you feel like you did your duty? Your civil duty?
I do.
Well, do you mind? What was it like?
It was not pleasant. It was a responsibility.
Did you feel like you were just like people were ganging up on you? A little bit?
I will say this, that I tried to remain focused on the evidence, and I believe others did. I do believe that that people care. People show their caring in many different ways, and I care for all the defendants and all the folks that were in the jail. I have, as an architect, I have worked on jails. I've been the project architect on the Carter Presidential Library. I have worked at Georgia Tech, and I've worked in a multitude of different buildings, and I've had the great pleasure of working on Martin Luther King Sanctuary and additions, and we have a wonderful community. And I will say this, that I think the sentiment, and it was expressed, is that this defendant, Sheriff Hill, we hold him in great esteem.
What
And that's all you
changed
have to
your
say?
mind?
No, I said we hold him in great esteem.
You still hold him in great esteem.
We still hold him in great esteem.
Why?
We hold him in great esteem, and as was expressed, is that we do not think that he is a man of malicious intent at all. We do think that they were violations, and that once there were violations, they need to be addressed.
Can you tell me what sort of changed, or what flipped it from noon today, when you were still kind of holding out, to this afternoon when you weren't?
I was never holding out. I was, first of all, we had one juror that had to leave, so
Right.
we had to begin the process. So this is really the second day of a
Yeah.
statement. So let's say this, we began to organize all the evidence and all the testimony, and we actually created a timeline this morning,
Okay.
which was not provided to us, but we had the data to do it. And once we did the timeline, we were able to marry testimony and video evidence and statements and create a timeline that was very helpful in proceeding further. It was a bit not the fault of anyone that was prosecuting the case, but it was never one count, we'll describe one count, and then everything associated with one count, we'll move to the second count.
So on that timeline, were you taking into account when Hill apparently made his decision versus when the various detainees got to the jail?
Well, yes, and I do believe that the sheriff has a responsibility to take a totality of what has occurred in his knowledge base that is greater than individual individual staff people that are taking and processing, and they get a different view for a specific period of time. So I take the longer view of taking that into account. But when it came down to it, if the word actively for me meant, and I believe everyone else, meant that within a relatively short time, is there reason to move to a higher and a level higher? We were tasked, was there a reason to move to a higher level of restraint and control and force? Was it necessary? And that was in 6 of the 7, we found that it was not necessary.
And on that I believe it was count 5 was the not guilty count. What exactly led you
There
guys
was no
to...
evidence that,
Okay.
that he placed anyone in the chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Really
I'm,
appreciate it.
I think it is I think the system worked, but I think it's still very sad. It's very sad to be involved, have to make decisions that that I don't know what the effect would, and I don't know what will transpire. I do think that if a chair that is a new product is being used, that it is an issue of whether or not it's appropriate to use or not to use, and when it is and when it isn't. And I was disturbed by the lack of evidence that it in of itself is can cause injury. And we found that in cases it did find it was.
All right. Thank you.